The following program is rated G and is suitable for viewing by all ages.
Honestly, I heard really sort of negative things whenever I told my friends I was moving to Red Deer. They would say like, "Do you know what it is like there? Are you sure you're gonna move there?" So I heard it was very racist. I heard it wasn't very open-minded. But I had been an activist for a very long time, and I said, you know what? That means I'm needed there, so I should go there.
For many people, Red Deer has a little bit of a redneck reputation. When I first moved here, I definitely heard that it wasn't a very multicultural place. In Montreal, I grew up in a very traditional Italian family, and we were surrounded by not only other Italians, but other cultures as well. It was a little bit of a mosaic in that sense.
It wasn't what I feared, but I found some of it to be true at the same time. Some of my first observations here was that people are very friendly, actually, very helpful. Like, I didn't have a car when I moved here, and even strangers offered to, carry my furniture to my home. So that was really nice.
For this episode, we wanted to talk to a diverse group of individuals who represent different cultures within the city.
So my name is Ezgi Sarıoğlu. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at Care for Newcomers. And I moved here about 10 years ago from Turkey. My hometown is Gaziantep. It's like right at the border of Syria in the southeastern part of Turkey. About 2 million people live in Gaziantep, but it is also very traditional and conservative. So I was always a little bit of the oddball. I came out to my parents when I was 13 years old. I'm a part of the LGBTQ community. And it was quite difficult until I became 18 and moved to the western part of Turkey to do my studies. And I studied English language and literature, but I sometimes joke saying I spent more time doing LGBTQ activism than I spent time for my studies. So I was a well-known activist there, and I really enjoyed resisting with my community. The idea of a chosen family was really important for us.
Introducing myself is even a trick. My name is Wesley Lyle Q8 Richards. That's Wesley Lyle is what my birth mom named me, and I had it changed back here about a year and a half ago. So that was pretty cool. And then in 2018, I got an honorary doctorate from the St. Stephen's College. So it's actually Dr. Lyle if you want. I was one of the 60 Scoop people. And so I was born in Edmonton, and my mother was in Beulah House, which was a home for single moms. She was only 18 years old. And so, but she also went to residential schools. And so when the captain from the Salvation Army came and asked her to put me up for adoption, he said, but your family can't look after you, so obviously you should be put up for adoption. And because she was trained in residential school, he said yes. I was adopted by White United Church minister Richards, and I was lucky. It was a great home. I mean, there was, love was never a question. There was no prejudice. People don't, pick on the preacher's kid. Now, interestingly, my family had left Saskatchewan a couple of years before I was born, and they were living in a circus tent out by Drayton Valley. It was a great big circus tent. So had I gone there, I would have been exposed to my culture and the people and so on like that. But in those days, it wasn't healthy, right? They were still pretty, substance abuse and poverty, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it was, I think I would have survived, but whether or not I would have ended up educated and whatever, I don't know.
So my name is Zeynep, and my title is the founder and executive director African Caribbean Center in Central Alberta.
Where are you from, you said?
Somalia.
Somalia,
Yes,
okay.
yes. The city I grew up, we have a lot of, especially my mom's side, a big family. So really growing up, big family, And at that time, we didn't have the war, so it was like really. We were able to go to school. We were safe. People know each other. People always really give it back, and really they're community oriented. That was really what made me get fall in love with the community. Yeah.
So I'm Father Jim Nakanachny. I'm the parish priest here at St. Vladimir's Ukrainian Catholic Church here in Red Deer, Alberta. So I grew up in around Mundare and Vegreville, Alberta. My grandfathers were both from Ukraine. They came to Canada in 1926 and 1928. And both of my parents are from Ukrainian background, and we've always grew up in the culture and the religion. And we grew up that was part of our daily life and very important to us. And as I got a little bit older, after going through university and stuff, I worked at the Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Village for 13 years as the head of restoration. And so that history and that pride of culture is very much part of my life and part of my ministry here in Red Deer now.
When you moved here, did you notice more different cultures than you were expecting? What was kind of the situation?
Yeah, I think it is more diverse than I thought it would be. Like close to 20% of Red Deer's population was born outside of Canada. And if you add to that the second generation, third generation, it's actually like 1 in 4 people probably have ties, or maybe more, have ties to somewhere outside of Canada. In Red Deer, there's over maybe 120 different languages spoken. That shows the diversity that exists here. And language is not just a way of expression. Like, it contains so much history, so much culture within it. So it just ends up enriching the community.
You know, Red Deer has so many different cultures, really. And even though people don't realize it, but even within the Africans too, we have a lot of Nigerians, we have Cameroonians, we have the Somalian, we have the Ethiopians, right? We also have the Filipinos, and also all the other existing the Ukrainian, Germans, or Chinese have been here for a long time, right?
How many Ukrainians live in this area?
Actually, quite a few. It was kind of surprising because I've been talking to a lot of people, even with the city of Red Deer, and just talking to people on the street here, and they might have an English or a different Scottish last name, and then they'll say something to me in Ukrainian and say that their mother was Ukrainian or their grandmother was Ukrainian, and that roots have kind of woven into the Canadian culture now. That everyone has some type of a lot of other backgrounds, especially Ukrainian in East Central Alberta. If you're from anywhere between Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, there's always a connection with Ukrainian families because that's where they settled.
Everyone we spoke with had an interesting story about their culture. One thing they all had in common, though, was a sense of hardship. Through the hardships, their cultures have brought them and others in Red Deer closer.
How important is it to keep practicing and maintaining Indigenous culture in Red Deer?
Well,
in general as well.
I'll put that back to you. How important to you is your next breath?
Very much.
Well, it is. It's simple as that. And there's people who, feel that, their day doesn't start without a smudge. It doesn't, you don't do things unless you're, giving thanks to the earth and to the land and getting ready for ceremonies and so on like this. I always think of it as a continuum from, fully assimilated to, cultural, right? And so somewhere you'll land on that continuum, right? And you have to kind of look at who you are and what's going on to make sense of it. Yeah.
Ukrainians, the Slavic people are very religious and spiritual people. That it's part of their upbringing. Like in Ukraine, there's churches everywhere. They're like beautiful churches. And talking to a lot of the newcomers, they said when they first came here and they saw a Ukrainian flag and then they saw the trident in the window that we just put in, it really meant a lot to them. That just to know that there's a part of their country here and they feel comfortable here. And the one thing is we do our services 50% English, 50% Ukrainian, and for them to hear their language, it's comforting.
I felt quite alone and lonely, like for the first 2 years after I moved to Canada. I said I have no friends. I think that's because how different the culture was. Like I had friends, but that didn't fit my definition of friendship. So if I had those social ties, like if I had a one-on-one match, for example, the way we provide here, it would be faster for me to get integrated into the community.
So January, I left my full-time job, and I really take this one. To take this really initiative to be able to really help the community. And I see a lot of communities like they really want. Sometimes the people want somebody to take the initiative, and it's like we with you, you know. So they are actually behind us to want to work with us, and just like now trying to get as much as help we can get to help community. Employment was another one. People also like simple as like even people getting the Rusmate done too. So we want to help people with Rusmates. We want people help with find employment. After school programs, another one for youth, kids. So there is a lot of needs. Women's also need a lot of training, soft skills and hard skills, and so all of those ones. People really need that, and also somebody who can understand, somebody who culturally can relate to them.
I think every culture like brings so much. When I first moved here, for example, as I said, I started appreciating my own culture even more because I started realizing what all those different foods contributed to me, all the different dialect, different language contributed to me, or different practical ways of doing things.
In 2022, the Red Deer Local Immigration Partnership released a report on racism in Red Deer.
The report results were concerning. It's sort of what we knew was proven with the data, pretty much. Close to 700 people responded to it from Red Deer, which is a really high number, and it's in itself shows that there's high interest or it's a high topic in our community here. And about 75% of the respondents were white and 25% were people of color. So we were able to reach a good amount of demographics that was diverse. It seemed like over 50% of people believed that racism in Red Deer was worse than other places in Canada. So despite having a highly white respondent population, most people seem to agree that it could be better in Red Deer for sure. Some other highlights were, for example, like 80% of immigrants said that they experienced racism here in the last 5 years. And 70% of Indigenous people said that they experienced racism here. And some of the places they were experienced most were mostly online, number one, because I think that sort of give people an anonymity that makes them feel, I guess, braver to go and be overtly racist. And then some public spaces like workplaces were unfortunately really high on the list. Grocery stores were high on the list. And this was also shown in the research results. It's more hidden a little bit in the background undertone. So there's covert and overt racism people experience and express in different ways. Like one example we heard is a kid from Syria, and she was a refugee here, came about, I think, 6-7 years ago after the Syrian war. And her teacher, after the Ukrainians arrived here because of the war in Ukraine, she was like, can you imagine what she's going through? It must be really difficult for those kids. To the Syrian kid, she's like, yeah, I can imagine. And she said like they never prayed for Syria when she first moved here, but now they pray for Ukraine in school. So although people don't mean it, again, because it's unconsciously just ingrained, the way media portrays it, the way even the government discourses go, I think we take up on that and show it in more hidden ways or in unconscious ways than we realize.
Well, and I saw a lot of that working for CADA as well, you know, whereas somebody would say some antiquated racial term, and then, you know, somebody will call them on it, and he says, oh my God, and they're sincere. They say, I didn't know. And I don't think they did, because they had been saying that stupid thing for all their lives. And I got here in 1979, and it was pretty redneck. It was really redneck. And, you know, and there wasn't really a friendly place for, you know, anybody of color to be. When I first arrived here, I was routine checked for a month.
Routine checked?
Yeah. That's what the cops say when they pull you over and basically harass you.
Oh my gosh.
Well, okay, but there is the basic poverty, unemployment, you know, these sorts of things that are systemic, right? And it's really hard to sort of come by that. It's you know, but those things have to be addressed before the rest of it, you know, can come. Now you can move the dial a little bit, but you can't move it. You know, very far without those other things being addressed. I mean, you know, mental health issues, suicide issues, you know, intergenerational trauma, all those things, you know, affect, you know, sort of the health of Indigenous people. Now, we always knew we have to share this land. We always knew that, even before we met any Caucasians, right? The elders said that we were going to have to share this. They weren't expecting residential school and segregation, but anyway, but they always knew that we were going to have to share it, you know. And so this is no different, you know. But so it's working out a relationship with one of the people we have to share with. But they do, you know, sort of like this route land acknowledgement, and it's kind of like, okay, that's good, right? I mean, that means that people are starting to, you know, sort of be aware of it. So, what's the next step? Yeah. Right. And one of the things that you'll see in land acknowledgement, they say, well, we are thankful, you know, for the Treaty 6 and Treaty 7, and we live, you know, with these people, you know, so on and so forth. And as Indigenous people, we started to say, well, just a second. I'm not that thankful for Treaty 6 and Treaty 7, because that's the you know, the vehicle by which they took our land. And so I'd rather talk about, you know, the ancestral, you know, people who lived here before, and you know, their contributions, so on and so forth, and rather than, you know, the treaty relationships, because in some ways that's not so helpful.
Okay. Interestingly, like, even though there's that sense of, you know, when you're moving here, you hear all these negative things, but when I speak to people here, very few people are unhappy to be in Red Deer. The ones I hear who don't want to live here are because of racism and because of those negative experiences. But most people are happy, and that's because it's a smaller community. It's easier to create your own, I guess, safe and supporting community within community here.
I always really like to showcase the positive, because there's going to be always people who doesn't like you, but really I don't have time for that. I have so many people who appreciate my presence and, you know, what I can contribute to the community. So that's what I really normally focus on.
How can individuals become more accepting of other cultures?
I think it's embracing, like, more than just acceptance. You know, it is here, whether you accept it or not, but how do you get connected to different cultures?
My go-to is always break out the buffalo robe, start a fire at a teepee, and serve tea to people.
Cool.
And have conversations like this.
Yeah.
That's
I
why,
already feel like I've learned quite a few things that I didn't know before. So that's
well, you see, and that, to my mind, that's the key to, you know, us having a relationship for the long term, is just sitting down and talking.
Yeah.
I said that our doors are open. You can come in and see. And a lot of people come, I've driven by this building, but we've never seen inside. Oh, it's beautiful. And I think, yeah, you're welcome to come and see. You know, it's nice to share our faith and to share our culture, and to know that, you know, we're here and we're part of the Canadian fabric and we want to share.
But I feel like really sharing cultures is really move barriers, because sometimes people like if you don't know their community, you could have probably what you see TV or right, but when you bring people together, it really changes their perspective.
The base for fear is the unknown. If you do not know something, you will fear it. So go create relationships. Go get connected and actually talk to people to understand. Why don't you maybe get in touch with those different ethnocultural groups? There are celebrations throughout the year. And those celebrations isn't just, like food or dance, but at the same time, they focus on learning from history, learning from different cultures.
So really for me, it's like having an African Caribbean organization to just really showcase the talent in the community and really help in the community. And that's, for me, everything I do is just really have to be, if I ever change one person, I will be happy. Yeah.
We wanted to take part in one of these cultural celebrations, so we went to the first Afro-Caribbean cultural event to celebrate diversity in the community. And it was honestly awesome. Something as simple as food and dancing brought people from all kinds of backgrounds together.
I'm here today because I like cultural events and my kids are dancing, so it's a good opportunity to see my culture and meet other people culture, and it's great. I like it.
What background are you from?
I am from Africa, especially Cameroon, and I moved in Canada 7 years ago.
Wow, did you move to Red Deer?
Yes, I did move right to Red Deer, yes. It's a quiet town, just like one of the quiet time I grew up back in Africa.
How are cultural events like this, how does it make you feel when you're in the community?
It makes me feel that we are accepted in Canada, that we work together and we accept any other culture. So I really like that. It's not just us, it's all together. This is how I feel, and this is why I like to be here.
I'm